Let's move on now to the Kansas City Chiefs training camp preview, where we're going to break down the top stories entering the Chiefs training camp. But before we do that, if you have not already, hit the subscribe button and also ring the bell to get notified when we create new content. Brian and I, we've done a training camp preview for all 32 teams, and you should be able to see those by the time of the viewing of this video. They will all be up. Also, we will be doing weekly prediction videos every week throughout the entirety of the regular season and also into the playoffs. And for the Chiefs fans, you probably want to be there for all the playoff prediction videos as well, because you guys will most likely be there. So if you want to see those prediction videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel and also ring the bell to get notified. It is the easiest way to see when new content is released. And Ryan, I know exactly what people are going to be thinking when I say this, because it's what everybody thought last season. But who is Patrick Mahomes going to throw to outside of Travis Kelce? I know that was the big talking point last year, and because they moved on from Tyreek Hill, obviously that blew up in everybody's face. I'm so completely confident in the Chiefs, to make it back to the Super Bowl, and they're still the best team in the league. But on paper, I'm looking at it. Kadarius Toney, at least Juju Smith-Schuster had somewhat of a pedigree of success when he moved over to the Chiefs last year. So okay, that's a good number one. Kadarius Toney is not really going to be able, he could, but also he could be very inconsistent and be a bust. Rashee Rice, we don't know if that's going to be the case. Richie James is the only guy that they signed in the offseason of any notable significance. Travis Kelce is getting older. He's drafted 13.
32, I believe. Maybe he turns 33 inside the season.
Yeah, for a tight end, even for a tight end, that's getting up there in age. So, I have full confidence that the Chiefs are.
No, he's 33. He turns 34 inside the season.
Okay. So I know Chiefs fans, leave a comment, roast me. I know, I have full confidence that the Chiefs are going to be one of the best teams in the league. I do not feel like they're going to regress very hard, if at all, just because of the greatness of Patrick Mahomes, the greatness of Andy Reid. That combination is going to go down as one of the best QB head coach combinations in history. Even if it doesn't last for that much longer, it's already one of the best. But I'm just looking at it on paper, and it's none of those guys are a true lethal threat. Even last year, it wasn't. But at least Juju Smith-Schuster was still a little bit more consistent. I feel like Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore haven't shown us the consistency yet. That I need to see for them to have this kind of receiver by committee type approach to this offense, which I say that worked completely fine for them last year. So I understand the hypocriticalness of it. It's just interesting just to look at this. Yeah.
And that is one of the things too. So as a Patriots fan, I've said this multiple times, but Patrick Mahomes is so great that you don't really need to have elite weapons. Yeah, when you have elite weapons, you have a 07 Brady Moss connection. But it's really hard to maintain that a lot. And so I think what the Chiefs are doing is kind of recreating what the Patriots did in the early 2010s. You have the great tight end and then the complementary receiving pieces. And, the Patriots won 3 Super Bowls with that method. So, and the Chiefs, I think, have 2. Yeah. Although when they won the first one, they had Tyreek Hill. So I think that's a little bit of a different weapon.
Yeah.
So my main point is Patrick Mahomes is so good that they don't necessarily need a Lamborghini out at the wide receiver position. They could probably get away with a Corolla because Patrick Mahomes is so good at getting them the ball. So,
if I'm not mistaken, I think every year he's been a starter, he's made it to the semifinals.
Yeah, the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, the championship game. Yeah, it's so he's made it every year he's been a starter. And the team has changed from the first year that they went to now. Teams have changed a lot. He's lost to Brady. He's beaten Brady. No, he didn't beat Brady. Did he beat Brady in the playoffs?
He actually never beat Brady in the playoffs.
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of the regular season last year. So, but that to me, I think is going to be very interesting. And I think kind of then coupled off that as well offensively is I think we're really going to see as well how much of an impact Eric Bieniemy had on the overall offense. And nothing to take away from him or to give him more credit than well deserved taking credit away Andy Reid. It would just be interesting to see how much of a say he had in the overall success of this offense. Because if there is a regression of this offense, because I see Matt Nagy as the offensive coordinator, and I don't know, I would trust that Andy Reid's going to be the one making the play calls. Yeah,
Andy Reid.
So it's and then are there going to be any changes in the overall play calling system, to the overall scheme, or is Matt Nagy just getting a nice check of just to be the offensive coordinator, maybe learn under Andy Reid? And so I'm curious to see kind of what changes philosophically there are that comes to this offense.
Yeah, and then the last thing on the offense that is actually kind of a concern for me, they swapped out both of their tackles. So Orlando Brown and Andrew Wiley for Jawan Taylor and Donovan Smith. Donovan Smith is 36, I believe. He has been in Tampa for a very long time, but he came over from there. Jawan Taylor is now the highest paid right tackle in the NFL history by the Chiefs, coming over from the Jaguars. And Jawan Taylor had a good season last year. However, it wasn't necessarily all-pro caliber, right? I think Orlando Brown Jr. was a better left tackle than Jawan Taylor was. And now it looks like Jawan Taylor's making that switch to left tackle, which is the harder position of the two.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting dilemma to see how this offensive line kind of works itself out. The Andrew Wiley loss isn't a huge deal, in my opinion. He wasn't I think he was fairly low on the tackle rankings last year.
I think he was pretty good. I don't want to sell him short, but to me, I look like what gets me excited is I think that opened up a spot, and they drafted the guy. But I don't know if you've seen the highlights of Wanya Morris, but dude is a freak. So if they hit there, then they have a great tackle for the foreseeable future. Super athletic. So I understand why if they want to move off from Wiley, just because I feel like they've reached his time. Essentially, it was just mutually let's just kind of go different ways. And then getting Wanya Morris there, Donovan Smith is a stopgap for sure. How old is he now too? I'm
I think he's 36. I'll look it up.
Okay, so I thought he was up there. So last thing for me, just kind of note, is the defense. And
he's only 30.
I was only 30. He'll be 36 eventually. But the last story for me is just the defense. There is a lot of defensive starters here on the first string, according to our last, that were drafted in 2020 and beyond, or 2020 to now. So it's a very young defense that was they were definitely vulnerable at times.
Yeah.
But they still won a Super Bowl. So I'm very curious to see how they keep improving, how they keep adapting, because then with how lethal we've talked about this offense being, how great Patrick Mahomes is, if this defense then becomes solid and it's we have enough experience to become one of the best defenses in the league, I don't see how this team loses a game. In theory.
Yeah, this defense should be better. They had, I think in the Super Bowl, they had 6 rookies start for them, including, I think, everyone in the secondary that was a rookie. And so I think they're definitely improving and getting better. So I think the big question is just how much better are they going to be? I did see Chris Jones has not reported to camp. He's having a little contract dispute. So I think that's going to be really interesting to kind of watch how this defense shapes out overall. But I love the linebacking core they have. I was a huge fan of Trent McDuffie going into last year's draft. And then I think you look at what they've been able to do kind of with later round, because I think Jalen Watson played a huge role for them last year. So it's going to be a really big year, I think, a really big year too for a lot of these corners. And they also had some turnover at the edge rusher position as well. So George Karlaftis is going to see a lot of increased time, but they cut Frank Clark, and then who's the other guy? I can't think of the other guy's name at the moment, but they brought in Charles Omenihu and then drafted the Felix Anudike Uzoma kid from Kansas State. So that's going to be Carl Lawson, I believe, was the other guy.
I think so.
And so, how does that shake out for them? So it's going to be a really interesting season. I have a lot of questions about the Chiefs, but of all the teams in the league that I have questions about, I have the most faith in them to answer those questions.
Yeah, no, exactly. I know. I was just thinking about it too. It's like I believe in both things I said, but I know I started off the video like, who are they going to throw to? I know we've asked that question before, and like, well, like they still won the Super Bowl. But then to me, then just saying it's like, oh, this defense is good. It's like there's a possibility they don't lose a game because of how great they are on offense. So it is just very interesting where like any other team, and you're like, wow, you go look at this receiving room on paper, and you're kind of questioning everything. Also, too, I like Isaiah Pacheco. I like Jerick McKinnon. I think that they fit solely in this offense just with how just quick and agile they are, and you need to be able to improvise well with Patrick Mahomes, and that's what they're able to do. So I think they fit really well into this offense. I don't think that they would really fit well into too many other offensive systems, just kind of for size-wise and everything, but they fit perfectly into this offense. So it is just like another one of those things I'm just saying, like on paper, there's definitely some question marks. You mentioned lights as well. But at the same time, it's like, I have full confidence they're going to win 13, 14 games this year.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be playing at the end of January no matter what, and it's kind of the fact of what it is. So
just mark them down for the AFC Championship game. It's going to be the Bengals they're going up against, the Bills, the Jaguars, the Chargers maybe. Like who's it going to be? The Colts? No, it's not going to be the Colts. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But I think that's going to wrap up this episode of the Tracy Take. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on what you think of the Chiefs going into 2023. Do you think no matter what really happens that they're going to be right back in the playoffs playing in the AFC Championship game kind of like we do? Or do you think that some of these moves or lack thereof in this case may come back to bite them a little bit and maybe they might get bounced in the first or second round of the playoffs? So let us know down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.